birds of the air. Usually we hear the phrase, the lilies of the field. But I want to talk about the birds of the air. Because, where are we? There we are, birds of the air. Actually, Jesus said birds of the air and lilies of the field. Look at both of them. So we tend to think about the lilies. Lilies are just sitting there, kind of soaking up the sun. And then Jesus says, oh, why do you have the lilies don't work, they don't do anything, God takes care of them. Then we think, oh, okay, I can just sit and soak up the sun. But then he also said the birds of the air. The birds of the air are always flying around doing something. So I chose birds of the air because it's more about what we've got to do. So Jesus said, don't worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body. Don't worry. Here's the main point. Don't worry. I think it's the main point of this passage. Don't worry about anything. What you eat, drink, body, wear. Your life isn't your food. Sometimes we get obsessed with food, and food is love, Father said, but Jesus said life is more than food, and body is more than clothes. Okay, so look at the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap or store away in barns, that your heavenly Father feeds them, but those birds are out there working all the time. Look at the squirrels. They're out there all the time working hard. Now, we are much more valuable than them. But by worrying, can you add a single hour to your life? So this is like the root of all the today's understanding about stress, how stress affects you in a bad way. And stress is another word for worry. You're worrying about what went before, you're worrying about what's coming, you're worried about what so-and-so things, etc. So it doesn't add a single hour to your life. Actually, it takes it away. So it says don't worry. Just don't worry. Why do you worry about clothes? Look at the flowers. Even Solomon was not dressed like one of these. Get the point. So don't worry about any of these things. For the pagans run after these things. That means if you really believe in God, you won't worry. But people who don't believe in God, which he means by pagans, they worry about all these things. That's the way of the fallen world. Just worry about all these things. And Jesus said, don't, because God will provide them to you. Even more than what you imagine you could receive from God. Because God knows you need them. So okay, don't do all those things. Now he says what you should do, and that is seek his kingdom and his righteousness. And then you'll get all of these things in God's good time. So there's two things, kingdom and righteousness. So kingdom is like the external environment. We're in the kingdom. We're in a culture and a society, etc. Righteousness is us, what's inside of us. So we seek his righteousness. That's what builds the kingdom. So we seek his righteousness centered on, and the righteousness centers on the kingdom, the laws or the rules or the standards or the protocols or the pattern, the design of the kingdom. To follow the design of the kingdom, the blueprint of the kingdom, that's what righteousness is. So don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. When you get there, across that bridge, when you get there, each day has enough trouble of its own. So in other words, Jesus is the original kind of, who's that guy? Eckhart Tolle, just be here now, be in the now. You just stay in today. Today has enough trouble of its own. What is my trouble right now? Whatever that is, right now, just focus on that. Focus on being righteous right now. That's hard enough. Because we actually try to evade it or escape it. Because I'm thinking about yesterday, I'm thinking about tomorrow. And we're evading what's right now in front of us. And that's the only reality. It's always right now. And right now has enough trouble of its own. Okay, so that's the Bible passage. So the point is this, that God knows that you need them, that God has the design, God takes care of the lilies of the field, He takes care of the birds, etc. He'll take care of us if we pursue the kingdom and righteousness, which means if we make 100,000% of our effort. You know the story of Genghis Khan, where he was being pursued by his enemies and he was just about dead. This is before he became the conqueror of all of Central Asia, etc. And he was hiding in a barn and he saw an ant. And his aunt was carrying a big crumb, or something, seed or something. The ant was carrying something many times bigger than the ant. You know, those ants are really strong. And the ant was trying to get back to the colony, and he had to go over a twig. And like he fell down, and he climbed back, and 100 times he tried to get over that twig. Finally, and Genghis Khan just looking at that ant. And then the ant finally gets over and makes his way back to the colony. And so Genghis Khan said, if the ant can do that, you know, he got inspiration from that ant. That ant gave his whole life. I mean, maybe he would have died on the 99th time. But he didn't think about that. He didn't worry about dying. That's exactly true Father's heart, spirit. Hi, Antonio. Hi, welcome. Nice to see you.
I see you too.
Mrs. Antonio. When I said Antonio, she smiles too, so I can tell. And also online,
You're one.
Ocean,
We're both of one.
You're a one? Yeah. Oh, smiling. Good. Oh, yeah, and online. Welcome. Awesome. So anyway, okay, so, so I spent time also with ants and things like that for a while. And I'm just looking at those ants and bugs. And I realized, you know, those ants and bugs, they're out there at the cost of their life every day. They might die. They could die at any time. Boom, you know, they die. They don't care. They just focus on their mission at the cost of their life every day. So Jesus is saying, oh, look at the birds of the air. They're just having a good time. No, they're working at the cost of their lives. They're giving 1,000% of their effort. And that's all we have to do right now. And isn't that our 95%, 5% doctrine of predestination? God has a plan for you. God will give you so far much more than you could ever imagine receiving. If you go out there at the cost of your life, kingdom and righteousness, right now, all the time. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anything else, because God will take care of it. And that was the beauty of the missionary life. And we have John and Sharon here, kind of the apostles of the missionary life, right? They're always reminding us, to me anyway, about that missionary life. You go to a meeting with your Father, and literally, for years, you went there at the cost of your life because you did not know if you were going to have the same position and be living in the same place and doing the same thing after that meeting as before. You had to be ready to give up everything, because so many times Father would just, okay, we're going to have a reorganization. Line up, stand up, boom, boom. You know, you're suddenly, everything you were working for is like irrelevant. Now you're doing this. So you don't worry about that. And we learn not to worry about it. Just focus on God. Focus on being the kingdom and the righteousness. And this is the key to being an only begotten son or daughter. We hear all lots of true father, true mother, only begotten daughter. And it's kind of a little bit of a brouhaha about that. But I want to share some words from True Father, 1971. It's a speech called Heavenly Heart. The importance of Heavenly Heart. Okay, so Jesus said, God is my Father, I'm His only begotten Son. So Father always talks on both sides of the equation, because everything is give and take between subject and object. Father always talks about both. So if you just focus on this side, then you forget that side. And this is the same with Christianity. Jesus said, I'm God, I'm divine, I'm God, and also, I'm a man, human, because these are in a relationship. So many churches focus on that he's a man, and many turns out he's a god, and they fight with each other. So love is to bring those together. So here's the passage where Father's saying, only begotten Son is just me, because I was born for it, you weren't born for it, I was born for it, I'm that, you're not, that kind of thing. Okay, so you can take that from this passage. He emphasized there could be no other Son than himself. So that means he can receive all of God. But what about us? Oh, with that we sort of immediately say, oh, you mean you got a corner on God, I can't get any God, like that? Sounds like it. I can receive all of God. He's the only Son. So he loved God. There's no other one who could love God. What about me? You know, okay, this is that side of the equation. The only one who insisted upon such a claim. Others didn't have such a feeling, such a sense. But Jesus had such a feeling, therefore, he must be superior to others. You know, that's that side of the equation. But then, just read, you read on what Father went on to say. If the followers of Jesus had felt that way, then the kingdom of heaven could have been established on this earth. Therefore, the most important thing is how to reach the position of only begotten Son, only begotten daughter. Okay, so this is the other side. Oh, the followers, Jesus wanted them to feel the same way. But this is the thing. He couldn't just come out, or Father couldn't just come out and be that direct about it. Because we've got to decide that ourselves. We've got to just decide, because we've got to find it in ourselves. The reason Jesus felt that way, because nobody else had that sense, because they didn't discover it in themselves. Jesus discovered it. Father discovered it. We can all discover it in ourselves if we make 100% of effort at that moment for his kingdom and his righteousness. Every moment. So Jesus can't tell you that you're that. Then you go around and go, oh, I'm that, when you aren't really that yet, because you didn't discover it in yourself. So he didn't want a bunch of arrogant people around him. Same with Father, right? You know, anybody who's arrogant, like, really unarrogantized by Father. Okay, so the kingdom could have been. So how to reach? There's a method. How? How do you reach this point? And then so this is what Father's going to tell us. To be only begotten Son, only begotten daughter. And Father said, daughter too. Father always, said, oh, and daughter too, right? How could you say, okay, so let's analyze. How could you say that Jesus loved God more? It's decided by the concentration of love, the degree of love that determines it. So Father's getting quantitative here. That means it's not the quality, it's the quantity, the concentration, the degree. If he loved God 3 times as much as other men, then God's love would come on this man. So during daily life, if this man thought of God 3 or 4 times, and the other one thought of God just 1 time, this man would be thinking of God 3 times more. Then God's love would come on this man. So it's very, you can count. How many times did I think about God? How many times at the end of the day? Oh, I thought of God 12 times. And somebody says, oh, I thought of God 5 times. Well, you're better. You're closer to God. That's what Father's saying. You can count on your fingers and your toes. If the other man just thought that he would like to see God, I'd like to see God. Please show me yourself, God. I'm waiting. Like that. But Jesus wanted to see God while Jesus was weeping, crying. And the other man slept as he wanted, ate as he wanted, and lived a regular life. But this man, Jesus, didn't live that way. He sacrificed all his eating and sleeping and working. Even his working. He didn't work. There's conditions. The Christians, I guess Buddhists too, have made conditions to go out and not work and just live by begging. They own their clothes and a bowl. That's it. He gave up all his work. Huh?
That's work.
That's work. That's faith. We read we're reading in Hunbuke, the history of Unification Church at Ho Ho Bin. Ho Ho Bin, we heard a lot about Ho Ho Bin, right? Reverend Ho Ho Bin, inside the belly New translation, inside the womb, church, more dignified. Anyway, the amazing thing was her husband. Her husband, this is what Father brought out in this speech. He did everything she said. No sex, first of all. And then one time, in the middle of the winter, she sent him out, no shoes, no money, no coat, for 40 days, 6 months. So he'd go out for 6 months and just live, just beg. That's the condition. And then after 6 days, she called him back. So Father said he did 6 months and 6 days of indemnity. So that's the giving up, sacrifice, eating, sleeping, and working. Do you ever? Okay. Okay. So eating, sleeping, and working. That makes a difference. Because he wanted to see God that much. He forgot to eat, he forgot to sleep, he forgot to work. In a good way. Not because he's lazy, because he's just so focused on God. Master thinks Jesus would live this way. I heard a testimony about Joseph Page, Shaw Divinity School?
Yeah.
It's in Raleigh, right?
Yes. Page, yes.
Joseph Page. One seminary brother was an intern with him for 6 months or something. And he said Joseph Page, one reason he felt connected to Father, to true parents, was that when he was in the Korean War, he was a staff sergeant who worked in a commissary. And this Korean preacher, he said, came in and asked him if he could give him cardboard boxes. And he said, why do you want cardboard boxes? He said, I'm building my church.
Oh.
So I thought, oh man, Father went and did that. And my true mother, my true wife said, no, it was Mom Kim. Father didn't say. In other words, Father didn't say who it was. Or Joseph Page didn't say who it was. At least in the testimony. He probably even maybe remember if it looked like Father or it looked like Wong Pil Kim. Okay, so Master thinks Jesus would live this way. Whenever he saw, and then this gets into the next point. Whenever he saw a man, he would think, that man must be the one who could give me some news of God. So Father said, even a child can be your able. You can learn about God from a child. Or when he heard a voice, he would think that voice might be the voice which will introduce God or bring news of God. Like everything's focused on God. He concentrated all his perceptive senses for the love of God, and he concentrated other things, such as all his strength, strength, mind, love God, for that purpose. So Jesus would live that way. Whenever he had clothes, he wanted to give his clothes to God. Whenever he had something to eat, he wanted to give his food to God before him. And not only for God, but for other men. He did the same way. Because God wanted to love other people. Therefore, he wanted to open the way for God to love them, and also he loved them in place of God. So it all kind of unfolds very naturally. If a man sees other men from that viewpoint, and he loves them in place of God, then he can be the one who can receive God's love fully. I'm the only one. That kind of saying. So where Jesus went, God had to follow after him. Because God is very vulnerable. You find someone like that, he wants to be with that person. And where God and Jesus go, all the people must follow, sooner or later. This is the only way by which one can go to the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, when fallen men know this way, and women, when fallen people know this way, they cannot but follow this way, and by such a way the providence of restoration can be quickly fulfilled. Kingdom of God and his righteousness. And he walked such a way to give love to people and to receive God's love. He was the first one in history to do this. First one, which means there's going to be a second, third, fourth among many. Paul said Jesus was the firstborn among many. So, let's pray. Most beloved Heavenly Parents, true parents, thank you very much for your blessings and love. Father, we want to receive your message in our hearts and strive, because it's only up to us, Father, each one of us inside, to make that decision and to give and to love you and to seek for you, Father, to search for you, even forgetting, so intensely concentrating. Father, true parents, true Father even gave up his own wife and child, Father, to seek for you. Father, the cost of his life, although his wife knew this was his course, and she agreed, Father, so difficult, so much suffering. Father, giving up things. But what we receive through true Father, what he received was so much more, Father. Receive the infinite, eternal, absolute, unchanging love, Father. So let us make that decision in ourselves and also follow its path, that we love people the way you love them, that what we give to you, we give to other people because you want to give it to the other people, Father. Everything, Father, and that means love our neighbor as ourselves and our enemy as ourselves, Father, which means we give them everything, Father, just like Jacob. This is the key of our lives, not just thousands of years ago, not just true parents, but my own life, Father, my own path. And that just like for the birds of the air, you have a plan, you have a design into which each one of them fits perfectly by giving all their effort. So we know you have a plan for each one of our lives also, that we will realize, even if we don't see it, it will be a bright sunshiny day when the clouds disappear, and we will be there with you and with each other in your kingdom and with our family. And we report this, offer this message in the name of Tyler and the name of Andrews. Listen to him. Adieu.
Adieu.